Greetings, family. Welcome back to the Learning Channel. I have to thank you for your interest in this topic. It seems to be very intriguing to many. In a matter of 7 days, there were 4,000 views on my presentation on the pineal gland. Called it Pineal Gland Power, Neuromelanin and Ancient Wisdom. So if you've seen that one, then you have a base of what I was talking about. But since there seemed to be an interest, I said, let me continue on with further discussions about this topic. So I'm titling this part 2, Pineal Power and the Crystal Cave. So I again will speak as carefully as possible because it seems like this is a topic people are seeking some spiritual enlightenment, seeking some endarkenment, trying to engage their minds for a higher level of thinking. So I'm presenting this to talk about pineal power and the crystal cave. So walk along with me. So the pineal gland, sitting deep in the center of the brain, looks almost like a snake, the head of a snake. So the uraeus that I showed you in part 1 had the cobra and had the vulture. Both of them had heads that could look like this pineal gland. The uraeus was representing Lower and Upper Egypt, but symbolism is all within African culture. The way we describe things, affect symbolic imagery. There's ways that we express things that have multiple meanings. So deep within that brain is the center that is connecting us to the universe. So beyond the pineal gland, which is sitting there in fluid, you see the cerebellum right there. You see the corpus callosum up top. You see the midbrain area where there's a lot of pigmented neurons that are along this corridor here. So there's also a duct, the cerebral aqueduct, where there's a passage of cerebrospinal fluid that flows through here. And there's the thalamus. So now, speaking of organs that are going to be part of this crystal cave is an internal in the body. We're also going to go into a cave into the earth because we have to talk about the microcosm and the macrocosm, how we seek enlightenment. Pituitary gland, thalamus, hypothalamus, and the pineal gland. Those are what are making up the crystal cave. So here's the pituitary gland. Here's the hypothalamus. Above it is the thalamus, pineal gland. The thalamus is where you normally see the dot in the middle of the eye for the eye of Haru. We've discussed that already. So hypothalamus has releasing hormones. It talks to the pituitary gland to release stimulating hormones. And all that is at the top managed by the integrator, the thalamus, and the pineal gland becomes the connector to the outside realms. So these stars that you see here do relate to us being connected to the stars. Within the pineal gland, there are actually crystals, and those crystals can have a possibility to conduct electricity on a small level called piezoelectricity. So we then have an organ that you can also say, like with other animals that are able to travel throughout the earth using geomagnetic positions, they have something in their brain that connects them to the geomagnetic grids. And so we don't necessarily have it as humans, but if we talk about the pineal gland being activated, there is a way that we can maybe return to that. So there's a book called Blacks, The Race from Beyond the Stars. I'll share a little bit of that with you, but it says, if man evolved from apes, why can't a human mate with them and produce a half man, half ape offspring? Scientists know that evolution is not possible, but to reveal the fact that man arrived on the earth thousands of years ago from space would raise the question, well, which race colonized the Earth first? The knowledge that the black race terraformed Earth from and founded the three first great civilizations, according to this author, Sumer, Egypt, and India, from which all subsequent civilizations were copied, led scientists to devising the greatest cover-up of all time. The history of the black race has been altered. The time has arrived for the mental blinders to be thrown off and for blacks to learn their true history. Now, this is just odd because this book was written in 1994. You can't find it anywhere. It's like scrubbed from the internet, like it doesn't exist. So if I wasn't presenting this to you, then you would say, he's making that up. Well, the book exists, used to exist. I'm telling you the power of the internet, how people can scrub things. I don't know how it is that this particular video that I did on the pineal gland got that many views, because I don't normally put my information out beyond my viewers. Those who come back and learn, I appreciate you. Those who have not been associated with what I do, thank you for attending and listening. But I don't know how the algorithm got out that far. But now we're here. Let's go ahead and deal with some science. So I showed you the pine cones that I collected, and when I did the last presentation, I kept interchanging between pine cones and acorns. I kept mixing that up because, again, these are things you don't normally think about. But the pine cone, related to the structure of the pine cone in your head, pineal gland, here are some images of the pine cone in the sun. Here are some images of those same pine cones that got wet from this torrential downpour of rain we just received. They closed up. Those are the same pine cones that I just showed you that are open. The rain came, they closed up. So that's the kind of collective group of them, and you look at them close up, those shelves, those openings have closed up. Interesting. So that means, are the pine cones alive? I would say so, if they're responding like that. So open, closed, dry, wet. Same pine cones. So the pine cone in your head, the pineal gland, some people relate it as a sexual organ, as a second sexual organ. When you're meditating and you're doing it properly, and you raise your kundalini, that is a spiral energy that goes from your gonads up to the top of your head, it can stimulate that pineal gland and cause it to perhaps have an orgasm. So we're talking about a live event that's happening in nature right here, and something that's live happening in your body. So as above, so below. Those are terms coming from the Kabbalion, or what we say ancient wisdom from Tahuti or Thoth. So it's talking about really correspondence, the law of correspondence. So in Taoism, the North Star is where the pineal projects. So when you see images of the head and rays coming out, those rays are, in some cultures, going to the North Star. I have talked to students and they say they don't see stars anymore. I just say they don't see stars anymore because they're probably just looking on the cell phone and they kind of like can't even conceptualize the cosmos. I also asked what cosmos meant, and some students didn't know what cosmos meant. So we're living in an age and stage right now where we're limited in our knowledge base compared to our ancient African scientists, ancient people who studied the world and used the stars to map out the world. They knew things for almost thousands of years what would be happening. So the Big Dipper has been up there. It has 7 stars to the Big Dipper. I'll show it to you a little later on. There's 9 main stars in the constellation of Orion, but without the bow, I think there's like 9 main stars without the bow. So then you have these, like the body part of the Orion looks like 7. So the Orion belt looks like the pyramid complex, the Giza pyramid complex. Again, as above, so below. There are 9 holes at birth when you are born that open and close to life in the body. You can count them on your own. Eyeballs, ears, nose, mouth. Your nose, the nostrils, you count on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's 2 openings that are basically for discharge. Your anal area and man penis, woman vagina. So there's science to the body, and our bodies are connected to the universe. So the star Sirius is where ancient knowledge states we came from. So when I showed you the book, Blacks Are Raised from Beyond the Stars, and people are scared to conceptualize things beyond what they've been told in the school system, which is really not miseducation. People are unable to see the bigger world we live in. The last time I traveled, I went to Grenada, and the Caribbean sky was just beautiful. So here you see the moon, and here you see that bright star in the sky. So we have to now go beyond those clouds to see what is behind those clouds. So, and if you have a clear day wherever you may be, stars are always in the sky. So people say they don't see stars. Well, you may not be looking up. But here on the left and right are the same views. But look where we're looking at here. This is Orion. Here's the shoulder. Here's the belt, the sword, 2 legs. So it's Orion right there. And then you have over here Sirius, the brightest star in the sky. Same image right here. You have Osiris, head. Here's the Orion's belt, which I'm saying relates to the Giza Plateau in Kemet. There's a sword, 2 legs. So this is Orion. And again, there's that bright star. So ancient people use these stars to map out where to go, where to travel. So Orion and Sirius. So here's Orion right there. Here's Sirius. And I think there's an image. One of those has the bow that you can see a little bit better. No, you can't see it on that one. But as I kept taking the picture and seeing the beautiful light, beautiful sky, Orion's belt, top shoulder, bottom legs, there's the sword, that bright star, Sirius. So here's the one where I say you can see the bow. So here's the head, the arm, the shoulder, 2 shoulders, 2 legs. There is the Orion's belt, there's the sword, and the bow is right here. So again, it's supposed to be like a warrior in the sky. Orion. Those who don't follow the stars, well, you'll probably never look up and see. But now it's time to look up and see, because guess what? We got to find a new way of viewing the world. So again, that's Orion's belt, or Orion in general. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You get the 9 up here. So this is up in the sky in the winter all the time. I see it also in the spring and other parts, other seasons, but that's what it looks like. I mean, sometimes just don't pay attention what's up there. There's the Big Dipper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stars. That 7 becomes critical. 9 becomes critical. A lot of numbers become critical. I told you that Fibonacci spiral in the pine cone, 8 and 13 became critical. So there's always numbers that we need to follow to understand how it is that they're impacting our lives. The numbers can sometimes guide you. So this Big Dipper is also a place that's associated with, again, the collection of energy that some people say are, when we are meditating and going to the inner workings of our minds, we go to these places that are up there in this realm. So speaking of caves, so that's up there in the sky. But when we go down into the earth and go into the darkness of the earth, that's when you seek enlightenment. Why? Because in the darkness, you're able to now tune into self, away from the energy, the electromagnetism that's out here distracting us, pollution. So you're now able to find a place to find peace. So in a cave, I visited in Dominican Republic with my colleagues, Molly Kentucky and Oscar Grulon. We were looking at ways that we can now take people on tours to find where we as African people have been. So in this cave, you're going to see some drawings that had been done thousands of years ago. you're going to see bats flying, or perhaps you should look quietly and look easily. You'll see some bats flying. We'll have an explanation that's going to be done in Spanish because, again, the tour guide was introducing us to this gigantic cave system. I'm only mentioning it to you here because you have a crystal cave in your head, and we have a cave that's in the earth. And so the connections of these caves pertain to us finding enlightenment or endarkenment to enhance our consciousness.
This one has 590 pictures.
Antes de esta protegida, la cueva, venían personas, ponían grafiti.
Before it was protected, people used to come and put graffiti.
Se hizo una limpieza en el 93 y fue quedando como esa pictografía.
In 93, they cleaned it, and then the ones that we see up there are the ones that were left.
Y los petroglifos que le hablaba son estos, ¿verdad? Esto tallado. ¿Ves?
Okay. These were the ones that were done.
Ahí, esa parte, son petroglifos. Ellos lo hacían con una piedra dura llamada sile. Para hacer eso. No sé si tú lo llevas, ese que está ahí.
Entonces, ¿dónde hacen el festival? ¿Aquí adentro?
No, eso lo hacían allá afuera, entonces ahora es lo que hace en el centro taíno. Se tiene un centro taíno allá afuera, que debe estar prohibido, la hace ahí. Lo que hacían era en ensalada afuera.
¿Y cómo se llama él?
José Corporán. La presidenta es Malena Corporán, la hija de él. Ellos hacen actividades. En un tiempo pueden caer, por ahí como con ese proceso que está acá, ¿ves? Que se va como comiendo esa parte, no que caen así, ¿no ves?
Sí, sí.
Que puede caer con el tiempo. También mucha gente se pregunta sobre los terremotos. Yo digo que si se hubiera derrumbado un terremoto, hace mucho que tuvieran que quedar derrumbadas porque aquí han pasado terremotos.
Sí.
Lo que pasa es que eso es un material macizo.
Sí.
Cuando hay un terremoto, vuelve a la normalidad. Entonces también los tipos, porque aquí está, los tipos de caliza son, todas las piedras son calizas, lo que pasa es que tienen diferentes nombres, hay caliza crema, caliza, esa compañía que está ahí, o la asociación de mineros, que hay piedra, caliza, con esa piedra la utilizan para hacer patas de dientes.
¿El qué?
La del chamán.
¿Y cuál es?
Es el chamán.
¿Y cómo tú sabes?
Sí, porque esa figura dice que el chamán, como allá, ve que allá está ahí, lo que está en una forma más cosa, ¿no ves? Sí. Vamos a seguir. Pues así todo esto es hueva.
Now, the cave is dark. The flashlight is helping us out to see. So imagine back in the day where there were no flashlights. Did they use fire? Sometimes people say that there was no soot on the walls to say that the fire was burning. But how was it that they were going to go deep into the earth without light to be able to see? If we didn't have that flashlight, we were in trouble. Which way do you go? It's like 500 caverns, places to travel. It's like you can get lost in the earth. That's why some people say, hey, there might be some people that actually live under the earth, terrestrials that live below the earth. So here you have an image that was on the wall of a shaman. So the shaman is there in the middle, and you see he's kind of like blowing something. And in Australia, the Aboriginals, they talk about how they paint on the wall. They put the pigments on the hand and then blow onto the walls to make the image come out. Well, here's just a drawing, and you see that hair. That's African people. That's black people. We got that kind of hair that would stick out like that. So these were shamans that were people of the earth, melanin dominant people that were there constructing this thousands of years ago or making these images. So the shaman becomes a very important person to help others to elevate their consciousness using medicinal properties from some of the herbs and the medicines. So here we have it in the deep inside the earth in a cave. So with those chemicals and the raising of consciousness from the chemicals, chemistry, it changes your biology, and that can then change your consciousness. So I'm saying there's a cosmic significance to how we are using and can use the way to elevate our pineal gland, get that power to move to another level that makes us connected to the cosmos. So although rare, a triple-stranded DNA occurs naturally in regions like telomeres. Telomeres are the places that keep your DNA going, keep it strong and fit. Centromeres and gene promoters. So we're talking about enhancing the cellular nature of the body. DNA is double helix, but guess what? You can have another strand that then can cause the chromosomes to be developing differently. Hey, the third strand can disrupt normal DNA replication or transcription, potentially causing mutations or chromosomal rearrangements, which may contribute to genetic diseases or cancer. Or, from what we're talking about here, raising of spiritual consciousness. So the chemicals in the nature's apothecary or nature's pharmacy, you got tryptophan, amino acid. Without it, there's no building block to make your serotonin, which is involved for things like mood and depression. Melatonin, keeping your body situated with circadian rhythms and in tune with the environment. Nighttime, dream states. Harmaline, pinoline, beta-carboline, they may be chemicals that are stopping the monoamine oxidase, substances that can wipe out your neurotransmitters that are elevating consciousness. Well, naturally, you have these items in your pineal gland to not have them be depleted and dismissed. So the pineal has chemicals that enhance and also chemicals that make sure that it's going to work properly. Then you have 5-methoxydimethyltryptamine. The tryptamine becomes important because the tryptamine, like dimethyltryptamine, are the core elements that are causing or attributing to the raising of the consciousness. So when you're meditating, and again, we're saying the pineal gland is like a second sexual organ, you have these pulses that are going, kind of gets erect there in the brain, stimulates these chemicals, and this is what's causing the mystical experience. So when people are going into the cave in the earth where it's dark, and you try to go in a place where it's not messed up with, I don't know, urine, feces, smells, and deterring, taking you away from tuning into self and wanting distractions, go deep in the earth where it's dark and you stay there for a while. I believe you heard of somebody called Jesus, 40 days, 40 nights. I think Muhammad, 40 days, 40 nights in a cave somewhere. They came with these revelations about their thoughts about spirituality from being in the darkness. So in the darkness, you will see the light. That's why it's important to tune into self. So the crystal cave in the brain can be ignited by going to the depths of darkness, staying there for a while, meditating properly, raising your consciousness, and guess what? You now will be connected to a higher level of understanding. So as you know, what we do on this learning channel is we introduce you to books and information that you can go on your own. So here are some recommendations I have as I'm delving into this topic. One is The Iceman Inheritance by Michael Bradley, white Canadian. We have a book called Prehistoric Sources of Western Man's Racism, Sexism, and Aggression. And I'm mentioning that because living and being in a cave kind of mentality, because you're trying to survive, is different than being in a cave to raise your consciousness. The survival nature of being in a cave takes you away from the elements of the earth impacting your body, like not getting your vitamin D, like not getting the sunshine and nourishment from the environment. So living there because you have to, because of you're trying to survive, creates a mentality of being racist, aggressive, sexist, because it's all about material and things. But if you're going into the cave to raise your consciousness, that's a whole other story. I'm from Pennsylvania. There's a place there called Crystal Cave, actually a location you can go into the earth, see stalactites, stalagmites, and see all the designs that happen in the formations that happen inside of the earth. Well, you can do that. and then go in there for a purpose rather than just trying to survive. But people today are still living in caves in certain parts of the world because they're making it like real estate. France, China, there's places where people are actually living in caves. So the discussion about this blacks a race from beyond the stars, okay, it exists. Why it was scrubbed from the internet? You can spend your time trying to find that out. All I'm telling you is, guess what? On that level of control, people don't want you knowing anything about anything. It's like they want to keep you stupid and ignorant. The Sirius mystery. When we talk about the star Sirius, the brightest one in the sky, that you can go with his clear tonight, you can look up there and see it. The Sirius mystery, the new scientific evidence of alien contact 5,000 years ago by Robert Temple. Put that on your reading list if you can find that one. This is put out by Destiny Books out of Rochester, Vermont. So it goes into, again, how ancient knowledge from other civilizations made these connections. And here we are now stuck on cell phones and can't look beyond that. I got a colleague, comrade, he and his queen, Kadira, Ma El-Bey, and brother Alim El-Bey, wrote a dynamic book, shared a copy with me, thick book. They went hard, they went deep. Talking about PlanetaryGenesis, Stargate DNA, and humans' extraterrestrial origin. So they actually quoted some of my work in the book. So much power and respect to husband, wife, king, queen team. If I get a chance, I'll go ahead and put in where you can contact them to get the book. They're out of North Carolina right now, so I'll see if I can find that because that's a definite read for you. And then so I got another colleague that also, check this out, I wrote the credits in her book. I wrote the foreword. My sister friend, Arisha Day, Awadola, talks about African-centered ancestral healing. So we have to go deep into the past of our traumas that impact how we are responding today. And so for us dealing with the pineal gland and opening up, we got to go into the darkness to see the light, to find our ways to get through. So much power to her. This book is put out by Palmetto Publishing out of Charleston, South Carolina. But ancestral healing. We as African people always honor the past, but the cultures only focus on the future, like trying to get to the moon. Well, honoring your past is going to give you an impact on where you need to be to know where you're going in life. Without a question, my colleague, Edward Bruce Bynum, his book, Dark Light Consciousness, he even talks about the pineal gland in here, talks about melanin, quotes my work also, and I actually did a little comment from him. I said, in the beginning, what did I say? I said something in here, because we respect one another's work. He's talking about how light can be enfolded and then present us a different view of how we're viewing things. So definitely get this book. Also out of Inner Traditions, Rochester, in Rochester, Vermont. So it might be related to the place you can get this book, Serious Mystery. So there's some publishers that pretty much have the same line of work and authors that they support and present. So Dark Light Consciousness. And the last book I want to talk about related to this topic, very interesting read. I don't know this author, Sayer G. Regenerate, unlocking your body's radical resilience through the new biology. Pretty heavy stuff. I mean, I got a lot of respect for this guy. I'll put his information in the below for you to search him out. But melanin, radiation, and the conversion of light to metabolic energy. Okay, he addresses some things. Hairlessness, sunlight, and paleo deficit disorder. Talks about, again, we'll talk about the cave, being in the cave, being away from the sun. You now have a deficit of not receiving that stored hormone that we're calling vitamin D. We call it now sultriol, but it's not getting that by being in the cave. You got a problem. But this guy is really breaking some things down about melanin and the holy grail and the radioprotective foods. I mean, how many times do you find non-melanin dominant people talking about melanin? So Sayer G, He is the founder of Green MedInfo, the world's largest open access natural health diet database. He is also a reviewer of the International Journal of Human Nutrition and Functional Medicine. So basically, he's in the game. This book was published by Hay House out of USA. So the last book I would have to help you unlock your confined nature to look at how you elevate your consciousness is that particular book. There's many authors, many books. I'm just trying to find a way to guide you to this interesting topic that everybody is evidently wanting to know a little bit more about. So I hope I've assisted you in giving that direction. And of course, I will be back because I have other points of interest to discuss with you. Have a beautiful weekend.